Hey, welcome. It's Vanessa, and I'm doing an interview with a fantastic woman that I've met online. I'll introduce you to her in a moment. So, this is part of my podcast series for the Rise Up Mama podcast. And as you know, I do the Health and Wellbeing Café on the last Thursday of every month. And what I like to do is interview the guest speaker, but I tell them it's a chat really, just so that you, the viewer or the listener, can get to know the guest speaker a little bit more. So this month's Health and Wellbeing Cafe is Thursday, the 29th of April, and it's going to be recorded via Zoom. But obviously I want you on the live if possible. So let me introduce you to this month's guest speaker. Her name is Deniz. She's an emotional fitness coach. She's actually done some coaching for me, and that's how we've met. And we've been on a journey together. So it's going to be a lovely conversation because actually I'm getting to know her, but I've put some questions together to give me an opportunity to find out a little bit about her. So Deniz, it's absolutely fantastic to have you here. Thank you so much, my dear.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here.
How are you?
I am good. I'm good.
Especially after Saturday. We'll tell them about that. We'll tell them about that in a bit.
Wasn't after that.
I know. Well, as I said, Deniz, we've met online. You gave me some coaching, which was fantastic. And you really helped me. And I personally feel that your support has been the platform that I needed for us to then go on and create the event that we've just launched together on Saturday. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it's happened quite organically. I feel like this time has been a real good time to meet with like-minded people and I guess find your soul family as well.
Of course, yes. So, just introduce yourself to my audience. So we're going to have people watching the YouTube, but then I'll put it on my podcast, so we'll have others listening in. Tell us a little bit about you.
I am Deniz, and I have been coaching for 4 years now. I started off coaching because I was being coached, and I'd had business coaching before, but this was different because I was at a point with my business where I'd done the business coaching, but I couldn't get out of the funk that I was in. And I felt like at the time that I was stuck, and it was almost like I was on a hamster wheel. I was just creating the same, but different. And every time I went through this like process of trying to get unstuck, I was like, oh no, I'm back here again, damn it. And I was just like, how do I get out of this place? And it was very frustrating, and because the cycle had been going on for a number of years. And the reason why it was happening was because I transferred my, because I was a personal trainer for like 20 odd years. So I transferred my business when we moved up from London to be in Cheshire. And I went online, and it started off well, but my whole focus was how can I make an impact? How can I help people on a larger scale? And the more I kind of thought about that, the more stuck I got. And it wasn't an enjoyable process. It was a very stressful process. And it was an accumulation of not knowing how to process emotions and not being able to move forward from that. So really creating that sort of stuck energy. And also there is very much a fear of failing a lot as well. So we would spend time in the business as opposed to promoting the business. Because I was working with my sister at the time, if we would spend loads of time working on it, and then when we didn't spend selling it, we'd be like, well, we just thought that when we did this amazing product that everyone would come flocking.
Yes.
And then, you know, it required some stepping up and trying to be seen, but actually I didn't realize that I was scared of being seen. I didn't realize that I was scared of failing. So it wasn't until I admitted to myself that I'd already failed that I was like, oh, okay. It's almost like admitting that you're an alcoholic, you know. It's not something you want to admit, but you just admit it anyway, because obviously that's when it's your greatest fear. You don't want to really go there. So because I'd right before I'd started getting the emotional coaching on myself, I was doing quite an expensive business coaching program, and I was able to get the business off the ground, and I was gaining momentum, but I didn't enjoy it. And I was like, I don't want to talk about fitness anymore. I don't want to do this. It felt like people were switched on to, I didn't feel like I was changing anything or anyone, right? You know, you might give people tips and stuff, but then when they were emotionally still the same, to me, it was very, like, I just wasn't satisfied with the results. And although everyone was like, oh yeah, you've really helped Denise, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, they give me really good testimonials. I was like, yeah, but have you? Like, you've put it back on or you're still miserable. And that for me was really important for somebody to change and not go back. There's a big difference. And it's the reversal of everything is what was so disheartening, that it was like teetering on the edge. And we've all been there where, you know, when like you start a weight loss program and you're doing really well and then you go back. And it's like, well, how do you stop going back? How do you keep moving forward? And there seems to be like a kind of, I guess, what's the word? Just a disconnection between progression with fitness and progression with mindset. Like really, like the two need to be kind of hand in hand for it to actually work. And so, yeah, when I started doing the coaching on myself, and I think it was only about 4 weeks, my coach encouraged me to coach the women I was coaching. And I did. And it was the first time I've ever done anything where I was just really good at it. And everyone was like, oh my God, Denise, you're amazing. I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing, but I really like, it was just intuitive. I just knew what to do without actually knowing. And then that's when I was like, I really like this. And it made a difference to the people that I was doing, and they never experienced anything like it. So that's when I started doing that. But it was hard transitioning between you know, an identity as well, because an identity that you've been with for so long, for like 20 years, everyone knows you as a personal trainer, to then transition into an emotional coach. It's like, what? Where? How did you get that? So but that's okay now. Like, I don't have that issue. But yeah, it was a bit of a process. But you know, I still enjoy the fitness, and you know, just not doing the personal training anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've answered a couple of questions that I'd set out here, which was how did you get started? So you went through the process yourself. What I found with you when you did the coaching for me was that intuition that you just naturally had. And obviously you had we did the meditation and we did it online, and I was a bit dubious, like, how on earth is this going to work? And if you recall, I was just sat here in the kitchen and you were like, oh, you can actually go somewhere that would be a bit more, you know, relaxing. So when I moved into another room and then just went with the meditation that you were talking me through, that was really nice. And it was very deep, and it helped me to unblock. I'm not sure what was unblocked, but I definitely felt different afterwards.
I know. You know what? It's funny because like after like all the stuff that I went through, when anyone asked me, I'm like, I actually don't even remember what it was. And if I try and like talk about it, it just sounds so weird that I'm like, you know what? I feel different. And but the weird or the funny thing is that the more that you do and the better you feel, and the further away from that change that you become, it's like you've always been this. There's that sense as well, which is obvious because nothing really changes. It's just you're tidying up, energetically tidying up.
Well, I wanted to go back a little bit on what you said about working with people and their mindset, and how you felt that that was challenging as a personal trainer. Not that you couldn't do it, but you didn't feel that fulfillment that you're feeling now with the spiritual coaching. For myself, it is the same with the women that I work with on the nutritional side, because it's all about mindset. And that's why I've ended up doing more development and training on the mindset, to help the women to realize that I can give you these products, but if you don't take them, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And it's not a short-term fix.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting, that as a personal trainer, you felt that same struggle. You could give them, you know, exercises to do, and obviously different, you know, exercise plans, or work with them and push them and coach them. But then if they're just going to go home and pig out on the wrong food, then that would have undone all of the work that you'd done in the training session.
Yeah, well, I mean, we put programs together because we'd worked with people for so long. We knew what the general excuses were. So we really tried to simplify it. And everything that we did, we based it on research and science behind it. So we did a 30-day program, which it was so simple, but everyone always lost weight. And it was just like, do your steps and drink loads of water. Like, even if they just did that,
you'd see
everyone would lose like a couple of kilos. It was that simple.
What I was going to touch on was the ego, though, because you picked that up in my first session about ego. And what I'm learning on another level is the ego doesn't like that change. It doesn't want to change. It wants to protect. Yeah. So again, for both of us, I mean, I know that you're working with people differently with the emotional coaching, but for both of us, it will be important to help the clients to really recognize that this change of identity, in a sense, for the transformation to happen, even though you feel like you want to be pulled back, because that's what the ego does. It's the duality, isn't it? Fat, thin, black, white, light, dark. So it will pull you, you know, it will move with you as you transform, but it wants to go back to where it started. So in that context of anybody wanting to reduce their weight or get fitter, sometimes it's the ego really that's not helping them to fully transform.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. The reason why we simplified everything was to really ensure that people gained habits, that it was adaptable into everyday life, because obviously the ego gives excuses. And we tried to do the mindset coaching aspect, like really get them to focus on simple things, you know, what's the abbreviation with the goals and all
the SMART goals.
Yeah, that was it. And you can tell I don't use them anymore. But
it's all right.
But we did all of that. We tried to do some meditation, but it was all like it wasn't really emphasized enough. And we got to get them to connect with their whys and all this sort of stuff, and visualization. But again, it wasn't enough. And for me, even like through the process myself, this is like, I've been the heaviest I've been through the emotional stuff, because when things come up, you just do want to eat. There's a lot of energy around food. And you're talking like every time you've eaten something, like the pathway to the kitchen is well worn, right? So and for me, up until recently, I knew that was the last thing I needed to disconnect with. Because I knew that I was overeating, but I didn't realize by how much. And so that's why I started doing the fasting. And the first day was like agony. And I actually wasn't even that hungry. It was the pain in my head. It was just, it was like cutting the cord with like caffeine. It was like, I mean, I've never come off heroin, but I feel like I experienced it that day. It was tough. And I've tried to, like, I remember when I came back from Australia one year and I had to take antibiotics before I went on the flight because I had a sinus infection. And one of my clients like, you can't fly with that sinus. You're literally, your eardrums will burst. So I was like, oh, okay. So I went to the hospital and got like some antibiotics. And it was on the way back, because I was away for like 5 or 6 weeks. My stomach, I just couldn't eat anything. Like I literally would eat something and it would, like, 2 mouthfuls of porridge and it would be like stabbing pain in my stomach. And I was like, oh my God, what is wrong? And it was like breakfast, lunch, having weeks and weeks and weeks. So I kind of transitioned more into vegan. And I was like, I've eventually just given myself IBS. That's why I kind of came to the conclusion. But it was obviously down to the antibiotics just didn't agree with me, as you know, that's normal, right? And it wasn't until like months of eating like that was I able to actually finally finish a meal, like finish my plate without being in agony. And during that time I did that Jason Bale, like the juice, like 3 days of it. And then when I started getting my diet not back to normal, but you know, introduced some sugar and some coffee, I tried to do it again maybe a month later. I physically couldn't do it. It was like all I could think about was hunger. I was just like, I couldn't be without the caffeine like that. So I was aware of that was going to be difficult, but I knew that I needed to do, like, cut that tie with it. So now I'm doing it on a daily basis. So I can just eating less, and just what the first food that enters my mouth is just pure vegetables or pulses. And I feel like I'm more conscious around food, because I hate that sort of feeling of not being able to control just mindlessly eating. And I think we all do that. So it's good to have that disconnection and be disciplined and be like, okay, it's only a day. And I used to actually say, like, even because my family are Turkish, so there were some family members that would fast during Ramadan, and I was like, I could never do that. And I was like, hang on, it's not even like the whole day. It's literally from 5:30 till 8. Like, chill out today. But so that's why I did like the 24-hour one, because I was like, well, that's something I thought was impossible for me. And actually it's fine. I didn't die. I survived.
I fasted on Saturday morning, as you know, but
Yeah,
that's
how
because
was
I
that?
wanted to. Yeah, it was great. I wanted to get into that.
Are you going to do it regularly, or?
I did start doing it. It felt right on a Saturday, and then for whatever reason I stopped. But yeah, I'm happy to do it on Saturdays. Why not?
Yeah, so I was going to do it every Monday, but now I'm just like, I want to have a period of, like, say when I go, if I eat at 7 o'clock, or we eat quite early, 6 o'clock, then that'll be the last thing I eat till I eat at 12. Basically, do it like that.
Just to give the body some rest. And you know, speaking of water, if you can actually, you'll know this yourself, but this is more for my listeners, if you can get water into your system as soon as you wake up, it's really what the body's crying out for, because you've obviously been to the toilet, and when you wake up you can lose up to 1 litre of water just by going to the toilet first thing in the morning.
Well, and also think about how long you've been sleeping. You know, you have to track any, so you wake up dehydrated, don't you?
Yeah.
So we always used to recommend lemon water as well, because that's a good.
Yes, it's good. Yeah.
So I
the
do
liver.
do that. I was in the habit of doing that for years.
I've got some lemons. Yay.
Oh, nice.
I can do that in the morning. But let me ask you a question here. So you've got a podcast yourself. I will admit I've not had time to listen in yet. So this is a question for me as well as the listeners here. What is your podcast about, and how often do you do that?
So my podcast is called Wolfpack Women, and I try and do it every week, but it's not been happening recently. So we're on season 2 now. You know, when the break is so long that you just have to call it season 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why it's a season 2. It's not because of anything else, just because, like, oh, I should have another season. So I talk to women because I want to really share that it's all right to go through problems. Everyone goes through problems. but you can get through it. You just have to actually want to get through it. And so I speak to women who have experienced emotional pain and how they've like processed and come through the other side. So I've spoken to a woman who lost her son, like he was 17 and he just dropped dead. And that was, I wanted to speak, because that's, you know, that's the hardest pain you can deal with, is losing a child. And that was, you know, she's so brave and wants to share her message to other mothers. And it was SIDS that he died from. And like artists, how they've experienced like their sort of journey to become, you know, creative in that sort of space. Lots of women who are in positions of power, you know, like with CEOs and who've got really good jobs, how they use their energy, how they overcome any obstacles. So just that sort of women that I speak to. And yeah, I've got some exciting guests, and I've spoken to some coaches as well. So I really enjoy speaking to these women. And I've also got a few meditations in there, how to become abundant. So doing a money mindset meditation. So I offer some like tools as well that women can use to help themselves as well.
Fantastic. Sounds very inspirational.
Yeah.
I'll be checking it out. Okay, so I've got a question about how you deal with your emotions, and I'm wanting to know, what's the one thing that can instantly make your day feel better?
Okay, well,
And not coffee.
Not coffee. So I mean, this is the routine I normally do. I've been doing a lot of emotional stuff, like on a day-to-day basis. Like I don't have anything massively that comes up. I get triggered a lot by the outside world, and I will just spend some time just creating awareness to it. And I'll be doing it sometimes, like if I don't have time to meditate, I will be aware of the sensation within my body when I'm doing things. And so I'll just breathe into it. So if it's anxiety sensation, I'll just be aware of my chest and just breathe into it and then just relax. I journal in the morning and in the evening. I set intentions so that I know if I don't like set intentions, then I don't get anything done. And so I focus my mind every day. I have a bigger vision in mind. So each day is just another piece of the puzzle that I'm trying to create. So I'm very aware of I'm creating my life in a conscious way, as opposed to, oh, a month's happened and what have I done? It's not like that at all. And I just exercise regularly as well. So I do enjoy that. And now that the gyms are open, I will be going to squat this week. I used to be a powerlifter, so.
Wow, powerlifting. I didn't know that. You kind of take me into the next question, but I want to stay with this question just for a moment longer, because you touched on three things, actually: the meditation, the journaling, and the exercise. And to be fair, those three things, well, no, not the meditation, because I started getting in. Remember, I was coming to you in the kind of like, you're my coach, and I said, I've started doing the meditation. That's dropped off a little bit. But the journaling and the exercise is definitely part of my life. They have to stay. And you know how much dancing I've been doing, because I'm always excited telling you about the dancing. But the journaling, I definitely relate to what you're saying about setting the intention, because if it doesn't happen, if I've had, I would say, more than 2 days, it's like I can just feel myself going off. And I think from a kind of practical level, I can get things done, but from that kind of emotional and feeling connected, I don't feel connected to source, and source energy, and that kind of how higher my higher being. So the journaling's really important.
Yeah.
So I love that. But yeah, I definitely need to do the meditation. I don't journal at night. That might change as from what day are we on? We're on Monday, aren't we? So it might change as from Wednesday, because I've actually got a new journal, and I'm going to have some coaching on the journal. I don't know if you can remember me saying that Angie, who was the guest speaker,
Yeah.
she's produced her own journal, How Are You Feeling Today? So she sells the journal and then gives you sort of a masterclass on how you can best use it. And I know one of the things she recommends is to do journaling at night, but we'll see
Yeah,
how
I'm
it
going
goes.
to produce my own journal as well too. I've got some plans on that, so I'll let you know.
Yeah, fantastic. So let's talk about exercise now. I did have the question, what is your favorite exercise that you like to do? You kind of hinted on it, and I was like, oh, I didn't know you did that, but
Yeah.
what exercise do you like?
So I've always done a lot of weight training, and I started competing in powerlifting. Go back 2009, 2010. I went as far as the world. Like I was second in Europe, and I think what stopped me actually becoming number one is my confidence. I was like kind of scared of failing, so that came out then for me. And the mindset stuff didn't work on me, but um, I would love to do it again one day. But I'll be like the masters. It's like the
Wow,
oldies. But yeah,
that's massive. So was this before you've had your youngest son?
yeah. This was ages ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's God. Now you're talking. It was 2009, 2010. God, it's like
Wow.
2021 now.
God.
I'm a has-been lifter. But yeah, I mean, squats, bench press, and deadlifts are my staple. And then I do the assistant exercises. You always do the compound movements are the better ones because they're functional as well. So always go with the functional movement. I love using a squat bar, like Olympic bar, because it's a good amount of weight, even just the weight, but a lot of women can't even do the bar. So if you can master squatting, I know again a lot of women have troubles with their knee and flexibility, but it's not, I don't want to say knee, it's more the movement pattern. So it's calf tightness. So if somebody can't go down, it's not because of the knees, it's actually because of their calves are tight. So having to elevate the heels will help. And technique is one of those things. So you would, as you're squatting down, you have to have a decent foot stance. So you don't want to have it too, or you can have it wide, but on a normal squat, because you can do sumo squats in different variations.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the women's hips being wider, they've got what they call a Q angle, so that it's harder to stabilize the muscles in the glutes. So when you are going down, you have to have your feet just slightly turned out, because obviously we don't stand parallel, and you don't want to create any sort of torsion in the knees. So you push your knees out as you're going down, and let yourself bend your knees, because a lot of women end up hinging at the knees and then at the hips, trying to get the whole 90 degrees. I don't know where that came from, that concept of squatting, but it's created a lot of damage because it puts a lot of weight in the back and in the knees. So it's actually a lot more harmful. So actually your knees are meant to bend, so bend them.
Oh, wow.
Let your knees go forward and then get your ass down. And again, that will come through flexibility in the hips and everything. So working on like deeper squat positions where you can put your hands at your feet and just try and bring your bum down as low as you can. And that in itself is going to help open up hips. So any sort of yoga position for opening hip openers are a really good way of being able to get good at squatting. And then, because ultimately, if you're not good at squatting, you're not going to get, change your body shape at all.
Yeah, because it's using those big muscles, aren't you?
Well, yeah, and you're only going to be able to activate a certain amount through the muscle range. You're only going to use maybe 10%, 20% versus if yours actually move. So as opposed to doing lots of tiny little squats, if you could just do 10,
Right. So now I have to admit that squats, I have the squats coming on the oh, what do you call it? This bleeper thing on the telephone, the reminder.
Yeah.
So I thought, this was my idea. If I break them up throughout the day, 25, 25, I'll get to 100. Yes, it started off well. And now I just find myself just pressing complete, and I haven't done them. So no, I will. Now that I know Denise is into squats, I'm going to do my squats so I can say, Denise, yes, I did my squats for the day. It's what I'm working on at the moment is tummy toning. It's supposed to be in the morning. Didn't happen this morning, so it must happen tonight. As you said, the gym is open, so I've got to get myself back to do my weights. I do the walking. I've got the running going off with my partner, not life partner, best friend, so my running partner. And I'm cheating on the squats, but I'm going to get back to it. So Denise, what's one work-related thing that you want to accomplish over the next year? So I know you've got a lot going on, and even we've started working together, but what's the one thing that you do want to see by this time next year that you could actually say, yes, I have achieved it?
So at the moment, I'm building my platform, School of Change. So I want it to be up and running, and creating like an ecosystem for the coaches that I'm training to become coaches, for them to come in and then have a job at the end of it. So that is my goal, is to create something sustainable for them and for everyone, for it to benefit the people that are using it as well, the services, because obviously we are heading into times where there's going to be a lot of social anxiety, depression, and we need some solutions for that. And I don't think the government have got any in mind. So yeah.
Well, do you want to expand a little bit? Because I mean, it's a great name, School of Change. What is this about?
So it's a multifaceted platform that offers people the chance to try different methods of changing. Change is a difficult thing. We feel like people resist change, and like you said, the ego doesn't want to change. But we're going to come to a point where we kind of have to change, right? Because everything is so, either it's going to be made difficult because we are scared and we've changed, or the world around us has changed so much that we have to adapt. So we are offering emotional fitness classes, and this will be encompassing nutrition and exercise, and to be able to deal with that on like emotions on a daily basis. So we'll be offering live classes, like streaming live classes 3 times a day at least, and then offering group coaching, accountability. Everyone will get their own coach, and we will give them daily, weekly, monthly strategies to keep them on track with their nutrition, exercise, and keep a track of how they're developing emotionally as well. So that's why I'll have the journal for that, to be able to keep everyone on top of that. And then plus the coaching program, the accreditation program that I've got going on, that is, we've already got coaches that are almost complete by the end of this month. So I would need to, I want to have them coaching the classes and doing the one-to-ones. So that is what I want to be able to do, is to have that ecosystem in place, so they're getting clients and they're able to earn a living.
Brilliant. So it's actually you're giving somebody, I don't know, is it going to be a business for them, or would they be employed by the School of Change?
No, they'll be self-employed. They just need to say their hours, and they just got to be willing to work. I want it to be, like I said, I want it to be sustainable. So we, part of the School of Change is, we work together on things. So the reason why they can book one-to-ones is because we do all the work for them, and but the idea isn't to rip them off. It's to make sure that we're working together because we want things to change. So yeah, it's going to be very much of a team effort in that respect. Obviously it's not going to be for everyone. Not everyone's going to want to some people might want to do their own thing, which is totally fine. So yeah, I think there'll be a certain type of person that comes and does the Sisters of Light and becomes part of the School of Change.
Oh, it sounds very exciting. I mean, the website looks great. Okay, so that's what you want to achieve in the next year. So about the now, because obviously we know about the law of attraction, and we know that the power is in the moment that you are in, particularly when you are actually stepping into your future. So what's making you feel most accomplished right now?
I think this last year, I didn't realize how much I'd done up until, I think it was like January, and I reflected on it and I was like, oh my God, this is just like, I'm just building the foundation. Like everything is coming together. Everything I said that I was going to do has come together. So just appreciating the fact that everything I'm doing is working, and really not questioning too many things. Like the emotional fitness classes, that was just an idea in January. I tried to do it before, but it was like I was trying, so I was just like, but it kind of came through, and I was like, okay, well, let's just start doing something and see what comes up. And it wasn't even until I started putting the landing page, the information on the page together, did the actual program come through. And I was like, oh my God, like I've been trying to work this out for the last year, and it just came through really easily. I didn't even try. So that's what I just do. If I don't know the answer now, I'm just like, whatever, it'll come when it needs to come. I don't need to know now. So that's part of putting the ego aside.
Yeah, I mean, you helped me.
So that's part of putting the ego aside, is just not trying.
You helped me earlier on in the year when I was trying to get involved in something that wasn't really working. And you just said, things need to be easy. And if it's not, then, and that, even that just one word, easy, helped me to just release, walk away. Yeah. And then, by walking away, to be fair, it's freed up the space for me to focus on the project that we've been working on together, which has been very easy, which has been very fun. And that manifestation happened. Everything did come together. And going back to the word you used earlier on about intention, I feel that when you do have that sense of intention, and then you do, in a sense, have the trust that things are going to work out for you, everything will work. And really appreciating the role of divine timing. What's just happened over the last few days for myself was like such a classic example of everything just falling into the place at the right time. So it's brilliant.
Yeah, and I think it as well, because you and me, our values are to change the future. Like that's what we value. Like change is really important to us. Yeah. And where we direct our energy to that has to work. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And so there's a reason why it fell into place, because I guess your energy needs to be used elsewhere. And it all goes back to the event that we did the other day about finding your tribe, your community. If you're not appreciated, if you're then going to be in a place where because it's the divine gifts that you're speaking about. And even though I didn't answer the question on the call, the divine gift that I resonated with was the gift of communication.
And I can't remember precisely what your explanation was, but it was something to the effect of, if you feel like you're communicating but then you're not heard, it's like, is this falling on deaf ears? Am I wasting my time? And I really felt that had happened in the situation that I was in, definitely.
Yeah.
So very interesting. So I think we might have covered the new products or programs for 2021, unless there's anything that you wanted to expand on within that question. So just last few questions here. I love reading. Okay, I've always been an avid reader. I taught myself to read at 5. And we spoke about this off air, about the book that you're presently reading, Denise. So come on, you've got to let my listeners know, what's this book that you're presently reading?
Okay, so I'll just tell the truth, right?
Yes, please.
So I don't really read any books. So because I studied for such a long time. Well, I say such a long time. So obviously, I'm not the only person that goes to uni. So I did sports science at uni.
Yeah.
And then when you become a personal trainer, you have to do accreditation program like every year. And for a period of time, I did some really big programs. I started off with Stotts Pilates. There were smaller modules in between, which doesn't take up that much energy, but you're constantly reading and learning. I've done loads of nutrition courses. Obviously then did a lot of strength and conditioning stuff. And I spent a period of learning about supplements and inflammation within the body. So learning about how important vitamin D is, how important getting your bloods done. So I did a lot of functional medicine stuff. And then I did a process called posturology, which is all about neurology and getting in alignment. So I worked with a lot of people with scoliosis, Parkinson's, ME, and seriously disabled people, getting them through posturology. So it's basically posturology is increasing the sensory information to the brain. So you've got your senses, which is your eyes, your feet, because obviously it's the only contact you have with planet Earth, your skin, and your did I say eye, skin? Yeah. So I would and in your TMJ, which is your jaw. So I would do an assessment and then improve that movement. And one of the videos I did was actually of my mother-in-law before, a couple of years before she passed away. She had Parkinson's, and we did a before and after, and it took her, it was literally from her standing face on, turning all the way around to face back again. And with Parkinson's, there's a lot of foot shuffling. It's very slow movement. And we did it, filmed it, and it took her 45 seconds, quite a long time to turn around. And then I did my assessment and I improved that sensory information, because we're biological beings, right? So all we did was spark up the, clearing the information that was going to the brain, resetting it. And she did the turn in it was 10 seconds. It was massive difference. And I remember posting that, and then I went away on holiday to Turkey to actually do some family members with scoliosis, who was teenager, was in pain. And obviously with scoliosis, the only thing that is offered after exercise and a brace, and she had a brace and orthotic. So it was a heel raise by about 6 inches. And this girl was 14 years old at the time. And I was like, well, if you do a heel raise at 14 years old, that leg is going to be permanently short. And yeah, so she was seeing a professor at university to help her pain. And we did an assessment, and she was pain-free within that afternoon, right? It was that quick, right? and she's still fine now. But the alternative is surgery, and they do full on like spinal surgery. It's horrifying what you actually, it's like they get a bionic thing to straighten their back up. And it is a neurological thing, it's an emotional thing. So
I feel like we're going back to question one. Like, I feel that all of these experiences have led you to do a combination of everything, like what the body actually needs, what the mind needs, what the soul needs, because obviously that's where we connected on that soul level. As you were speaking, I fix my posture. The reason why, Denise, I'll tell you, is I went on a networking call this morning, and it was actually, you know, you can have an opportunity to pitch your business, but the woman, she does school, I can't even say it, but basically she helps people with their body and their posture and exercises. So she was explaining the fact that we're all spending so much time on the computers, and we're leaning forward, and we're not in the biggest space that you may normally be in. If you were like me, you know, I wouldn't normally spend this much time sitting down in the kitchen. So I just thought I'd fix my posture as you were saying that. So it's all very interesting. And I just feel that there was almost, though, you started speaking at the beginning, so I didn't think it was relevant to ask how you got started, but just that explanation that you've said there has helped me to realize how you've evolved to be able to put the package together which you offer.
And that's the thing, right? It all boils back down to how you feel about stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
So you know, you can change a multitude of things, but if you want to permanently change, you have to change what's up here and what's in here. So, which I just pointed to my head and my heart.
For those who are listening.
So that's what and so going back to the original question is like, what book am I reading? Since I've been doing this, I haven't read any books, because I mean, I've read stuff like articles, and I have read books like I'm looking at Letting Go by David Hawkins, and he, you know, he's one of the key books. If you want to learn how to let go of your emotions, that's the one you need to read. But in terms of like, the more you clear and the more you connect with yourself on a soul level, the divine source wisdom comes through anyway, right? So there's so many times that I've done coaching, and I've said something, and some, like one of my clients in particular is well read, and she will literally read a book, and then I'll say something, she's like, oh, I just read that in a book by some Buddha, and I'm like, I ain't no Buddha, but you know, it's all there. For me, it's common sense, a lot of it, and common sense is wisdom is universal, right? So to be able to just connect with it, and just feels like I can make sense of life more, so I don't need to learn about it, and then I don't have time for fiction. I just
no, me too. So just wrapping up now and thinking about the event coming up on the 29th of April, you're going to give us a talk. So do you just want to tell everybody about the title of the talk and give us a snippet of what to expect there?
So I guess this is something that, if you were to talk about something I've read, like this was a bit of an investigative process for me, because I did a similar workshop, and it was almost like divine energy was pushing me to go and investigate. So I'd done a few courses learning about the universe, but I didn't quite understand how we were connected. And when people say that you're connected to the universe, I actually wanted to know how.
Okay.
And so that's when I was like, and at the time I was coaching a client who was studying to be a doctor in, I actually don't know what, but she looked at, studied the Northern Lights.
Okay.
She's based in Norway. So I was like, okay, asking her like questions, and it was all about the earth, the universe, how we're connected. So I started looking into like the energy. So because I knew about the ground, everyone knows about grounding, but knowing where that energy source comes from, why it's important, how that connects with the universe, that those sort of pieces are put together, and the chakras within the universe, not within the universe, sorry, within Earth. There are earth chakras. People go to like places like Stonehenge for healing, or Mount Shasta, which is in America, and they're known for that. And so I started researching into, well, what is causing that energy. And then that's when I started like putting the pieces together, because all of these places are got either seismic plates or massive rocks of granite, which is crystal, and they're considered the bones of the earth. And so all of that, I was just like investigating. I just thought it was fascinating.
Fantastic.
So yeah.
Well, I'm definitely excited. So I always ask my guests to not only leave us with a happiness habit at the event, so you can save that for the event, but do you have a happiness habit that you could leave us with today, please? So out of every, like, what top tip would you say to anyone listening in terms of shifting that emotion to joy and happiness?
So, I mean, for me, what made the biggest difference was when I started the coaching, and my coach saying to me, everything's going to be okay. And I was like, oh my God, thank God. Because there's part of you that doesn't believe nothing's going to change. And so just telling yourself, like speaking to yourself as the third person, and go, you know what, Denise, everything's going to be okay. And just actually believing it makes a massive difference. So whatever you're going through now, it's not going to last forever. And I feel like we already know that, but do we? Maybe we don't. So
you just need to remind yourself. Fantastic. Well, Denise, it has been an absolute pleasure to spend this time with you, because obviously we've worked so intensely since you were coaching me, and then I told you about this idea, and then like I needed some emotions working on or whatever, and then that got shifted, and there was space there, and we've worked so intensely to produce the Discovering You series. So we've launched that, and I feel like we don't have time to kind of really get to know each other on another level. So this has been great, because I found out about your past, and things that and I didn't know about the weightlifting. So this has been fantastic. So thank you so much for coming on to the podcast.
I really enjoyed it. You should come to Wolfpack Women.
It sounds like, yes, if you
I can get to know you more.
Well, you could get to, but now I'm thinking, well, what's the trauma? I mean, my trauma would just be, I feel, from where I've come from, I kind of told you on the call the other day, people not really believing in me at that young age, and having to carry all that kind of emotional, I don't want to use the word baggage, but there was a lot of emotional stuff going off that I had to work through as a teenager. So yeah, maybe there is a story there.
Oh, definitely there's a story there.
Brilliant. All right then, my dear. Well, thank you very much, and we'll see you on the 29th.
Yeah,
Thank
looking
you.
forward to it. Bye-bye.
Bye.